Welcome to BRC TV. This week, coming to you from Windermere Stud, the birthplace of Incentivize, who begins his Cups campaign in Saturday's Makybe Diva Stakes. Now he continues the journey as a 50% shareholder as Incentivize heads towards the Cups.
Trying hard is Mirage Dancer, Rome Tregea and Southern France on the outside, but bring on the spring. It's all in Incentivize, he wins again. Incentivize by a big space.
Well, we're here with Steve Tregea at Windermere Stud on towards Darling Downs. A few days out from Incentivize's return to racing in Melbourne. How are your feelings about seeing him go to Melbourne and another trainer for the first time?
Yeah, I'm happy he's down there. That's where he's got to be if he's going to compete in those races. A bit tentative about how he might go Saturday when he's against the real big guns, but we'll find out.
And what sort of reports has Peter Moody given you?
Yeah, Peter's very happy with him. He had a trial last Monday at Cranbourne and just an easy trial, but he's been happy with him since. I spoke to him yesterday and he's very happy with him. So.
And have you and Peter liaised a lot since the horse went down there?
Yeah, we've spoken a few times, but initially I just told Peter what I do with him, that he's not a horse we do an awful lot of work with. He's a big, lean fella. Hasn't been a great doer in the last 12 months, so he doesn't need a lot of work. So Peter's taken that on board and you know, we've talked about how he's going and what his weight is and just a few other little things, but basically, you know, it's good to be able to just leave it to Peter because he's the man on the job and he'll assess him day to day.
Obviously there's a little bit of apprehension I can tell on your part as he jumps in against the big guns there on Saturday. What would you hope to see from him?
Well, going on what he had done early in his career, he's a horse totally devoid of any early speed in the race. Even when he won his mile maiden at the Sunshine Coast, he came from back. And that was probably partly because that's the way we had him pegged. The horse with no speed, he'd be back, and we thought he'd get better as the races got longer. So it'll be interesting to see what he does, but you know, now that he's raced forward in a couple of the longer races, they tell me, I haven't had a look yet, but they tell me there's not much early speed in that race, so he might even take up a position.
Here's Incentivize running home down the outside. It's finishing strongly. Rations in front narrowly, but claiming it now is Incentivize. Incentivize has hit the lead. Rations can't go with Incentivize. And look at Incentivize racing clear for Anthony Allen. Incentivize all too good, defeated Rations.
The first sign, I guess, when interest came for him was the day he went to Eagle Farm and won that restricted race by a big margin. Did the phones ring that particular day?
We had a few calls. The Sydney stable were interested, and then Bray was interested, but not hundreds of calls, just a few calls. And I suppose the deal was done pretty quickly, and they were keen to buy him outright, as was the Sydney stable, and they missed out, and they had been wanting to buy him. But when the proposition was put to me that we keep half of him, I thought that was probably not a bad way to go, given that we retain an interest in the horses down there where the races are. So just why not go with that?
So he went to Ipswich after the deal had been done. Was there nerves on your part that day at Ipswich, given that he'd obviously been valued fairly highly off the Eagle Farm win?
Yeah, not really, no. We had that as the target all the way along for him. So we just kept on going with what we planned to do with him, and it turned out well, fortunately.
Up to that point he hadn't beaten a lot. You backed him up a week later in the Tats Cup where there was a Group 1 winner in the field. Talk us through that day.
You could argue he didn't beat much that day, and I'm still making that point that he's got work to do if he's going to compete with the top class horses down there. So I'm very interested to see how he goes Saturday.
But there was a huge amount of media scrutiny that particular day, and given the margin that was the fourth consecutive time he'd run a big margin, things sort of went to another level after that day.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. He seems to be a horse that just beats them easy no matter what he competes against. But when he does it to the really good horses, that's when I'll be convinced.
What's it going to take for you to get excited?
Well, if he runs a handy race on Saturday, and if he gets back in the field and runs on strongly, well, you'd be saying, yeah, we've got a real viable proposition. But I wouldn't like to hazard a guess. Really, he'll probably be up there if the race truly is run at a slow speed. He'd probably be up there somewhere in a mile race, which you wouldn't have imagined he'd ever be early in his career, so it's a learning experience all the way along.
Steve, we've seen so many horses from this property win in town in recent times. Tell us a little bit about Windermere.
We shifted to the Downs from Brisbane. I always trained a couple of horses in Brisbane just as a hobby when I was working in the city. In fact, I used to jump on the train and work in the city and train horses all other times. We shifted to the Downs and not far from here, and then bought a place near here, and then to here about 10 years later, which was about 20 years ago.
How many mares will foal down here this year?
Only 5 this year.
And how many mares will you breed?
11 or 12 I think it is this year. We have a couple that didn't, we missed last year that will go hopefully straight back and foal this year. She's a foal to a mare called Rara Epic that was sold through the Melbourne sale recently and foaled at Yes Yes Yes.
Here at Windermere, you're a commercial breeder for a long time. You changed tacks some years ago to just breed to race and breed your own. Is there extra satisfaction in that this horse is entirely the product of what you've done here at Windermere?
I guess with any winner it is. Yeah, for me, if you're doing the hard yards and you feed them on a Sunday morning when you'd like to be asleep, there is extra satisfaction in that way, but not that much more than just winning a race on a Saturday, even in Toowoomba or in Brisbane. It's just nice to see the reward for your effort.
Well, we've seen plenty of Rob Heathcote in recent weeks as Rothfire prepares for his return. But last Saturday at Eagle Farm, he played a different role, that of coach of the Queensland Racing Rogues.
Look, welcome to the Thoroughbred Racing League. It's something which is, to be honest, a little new for me too. It's certainly exciting, and I'm quite proud to have the first runner for the Queensland team.
Back near the insiders, Ready Babe, the big goodbye in gear, Ready Babe, undeniable out deeper, it's the big goodbye, and also in gear, Ready Babe back near the inside, in gear, the big goodbye, in gear just in front of the big goodbye, and in gear's one from the big goodbye.
Queenslander!
We're nearly there. Country Music Day at Doomben on Saturday. Get your elastic side boots out, your 10-gallon hat, and get in the line dancing early in the day. It's going to be great entertainment all day. Now you have to be patient for the best bet of the day. Race 9, Dream Reacher. He's a wonderfully consistent horse. In 13 career starts, he's only missed a place once. He's got a good draw, he's well placed under the plate weight conditions, and his last run I thought was outstanding behind We Own a Smart One. The time was good, 1:8.66. So the pressure was on. Horses were, expected to run on with that pressure up front, and he did. He was closing quickly on the line, 1350 metres, good draw. I think he'll win. Go back to race 4. I'm going to be a little bit forgiving of Prince of Boom first up. He was flushed out 3 wide without cover before the 800 metres. I thought he was going to drop right out at the 250, and he got a little bit of a rattle on again at the finish. I think going to 1350 metres will suit him. Not a big field here, not a lot of chances. Be a bit forgiving of his last start defeat. Go to race 7 and found one with a bit of guesswork here, Confidant. Now, he was formerly trained by Ben Hayes and Tom Dabbernick, now with Cody Morgan at Tamworth. I saw a recent trial, not a recent trial, it was 45 days ago, a trial at Scone, which I thought was a nice hit out. Not sure why he hasn't run in that time, but I think he's well placed here. He's got a good draw, likely to take up a good position just behind the speed. So make sure you race 9 Dream Reacher and make sure you're in that line dance nice and early.
Emerald Kingdom down the outside, weaving through Vega 1 and Tofane down the outside. Victorian runs home as well, and also subpoenaed out deeper. Vega 1, Emerald Kingdom, Tofane's on the outside. Tofane, Vega 1, Tofane, Vega 1 from subpoenaed. Tofane, Vega 1, flashing late Mr. Quickie, but Tofane's won the Stradbroke from Vega 1.